out of closed session that the board passed on resolution 2021-12, adopted a resolution pursuant to Ed Code section 44929-21 and authorize the district superintendent to notify a counselor of release from a probationary position on a vote of 5-0. At this point, we're moving on to 4.03, which is comments from the audience. It's my understanding that we have 17 comment cards. With the consent of the rest of the board, I would like to cut the time period for speeches to 2 minutes rather than 3. Is that in agreement? Okay. The board would like to is appreciative of people coming to comment to us. Some of you we've probably heard from before, but we're willing to listen again. Of course, we just want you to speak to us in a civil behavior manner, which is courteous and respectable behavior. Gina?
All right, I'm going to call the first speaker up to the podium, and like we did at the previous meeting, I'm also going to invite the second person that's to speak after them, just for time management purposes. The first speaker tonight is Cassandra Stevens, and the next will be Jamie Arena.
Just so you guys can all see, this is what I'd like them to stare at. This is a poster that was made by a high school sophomore to show the abuse that you guys all condone with the masks. Actually, I'm here tonight because I want to talk to you guys.
No, I'm sorry.
Would you mind, I can't see that, but would you mind if I took a look? I can't
Oh,
see
sure.
it from this distance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's not good. So,
Excuse me.
yes.
This meeting is to address the board, not to address a public forum.
Okay, I'm addressing both.
Then you use the podium.
That's what I'm doing.
No, you use the other side of the podium.
come on.
She's just wasting your time.
Okay, so I'm here to let you guys know tonight
You
that
are out of
there
order.
are ways for you guys to send your
You
kids
are out
to
of
school
order.
without a mask.
Ma'am, I will ask you to leave if you do not.
There is a way to send your kids to school without a mask, okay? Please see me after the board meeting. I can give you information on how to do that legally, okay? There's 2 separate ways to do that legally. Send your kids to school without masks and quit asking them for permission because they don't own your kids. Also, it's not just about masks. It's about the vaccine that's coming. You guys all understand that that is coming, right? So you're not going to stop this fight for masks because the vaccines are coming next. Also, for those of you that are tired of the fight and want to take your kids out of public education, I've helped thousands of people in California get their kids out of public education, and I'm here to let you know that I can share that information with you. If you ever want to find me, I'm on social media. You can talk to me after the board meeting, and I have lots of information to share with you how to get your kids out of public education. That's it.
The podium is yours, and next will be Spencer.
Wow.
I'm going to prepare you in advance because I will be going over my time limit. You work for me, you work for these people, and you are paid by our tax dollars, so you may be working overtime tonight. And that's okay, because these parents have been working overtime for 2 years to protect their children and fight for them to be healthy and happy. At a state level, it's okay for 80,000 people attending the Super Bowl in California. And at a federal level, it's okay for the president and Congress to all of a sudden conveniently be maskless for the State of the Union address and be given that option, but not our children. Last week, the CDC rolled back its coronavirus safety guidance for schools, yet the tyrant known as Gavin Newsom has left restrictions in place until March 12th. And you have tolerated it and accepted it as the word of God. To think that our kids are somehow safer 10 days from now than they are right now is nothing short of bullshit. It's not about the 10 days, it's about the precedent we set for the next COVID season and for the vaccines, as was said. The California Department of Public Health and School Board are not following the science. Please stop pandering to the overreach of government and start advocating for the parents and children and their rights. The right to choose, the right to parent their own children. You have nothing to lose other than re-election by showing cowardice to the CDPH and CSBA when other districts have courageously lifted restrictions and made mask wearing a choice. But you can be a coward because you have zero skin in the game. You will not be the parent sitting with your child when they are trying to navigate life, dealing with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, and impaired speech, brain, and social development, which, by the way, have all been proven to be more detrimental to the children than COVID has been. You will not lose sleep when a parent loses a child due to the after effects of unprecedented guidelines that have forever altered the growth, function, and personality of their child. You will, however, be haunted forever as you look yourself in the mirror and your soul knows the truth and the long-term detrimental effects on children
Time is up.
that you have contributed to with the choices you have made. I'm not done yet. As a board member, you have sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution of the State of California and the Constitution of the United States of America. You have failed on both. We live in America and we are free to live our lives without restrictions. I deserve to be heard tonight. I paid my taxes for years and I will be heard tonight. Mandates are not enforceable laws. As an elected public servant, you have no jurisdiction or authority to create or enforce mandates. Administrators and teachers employed by this district have engaged in the practice of medicine without a license,
I'm gonna have to
which
ask
is a
you
violation of state law. I'm expressing my right to speak right now.
Is anybody object?
Nope.
No.
Okay, we're good. The people have spoken.
This is not a town hall,
It's-
this is a public meeting.
This is a public meeting, it's a business meeting.
I'm public. The public isn't objecting, the
No.
community isn't
A board
objecting.
meeting is
We're
not
taking back
a
time
public
from the
forum.
30-minute recess you took last meeting.
I'm going to inform you of your violation of constitutionally protected rights. Our rights. Article 4, Section 2-1 guarantees citizens that would have the same privileges and immunities in every state. Be it known that you were intending to make law in the absence of due process by law by issuing ordinances, orders, and mandates, and other statements that create a color of law but are not actual law. And you do not have the authority to do so.
You need to leave
Therefore,
the podium.
you are participating in a conspiracy that is in violation of your oath of
Ma'am.
office. As an oath sworn public servant,
Ma'am.
which you are,
Would you
you are
like
governed
to
by the
ask
contracts
to have
established by
the-
the federal and California state laws. This country was not built on cowardice, it was built on courage. Behind me are the faces of courage who understand freedom and what differentiates us as Americans and are having to plead for their child's freedom. They're standing in a room pleading for their child's freedom to breathe freely. Something isn't right. I suggest you go home, do your homework, and brush up on the Constitution, and I brought you a copy in case you need it.
We need-
Alright, Spencer, the podium is yours. And Kara Hightop, you're on deck.
Me again. Good to see you folks. I'm sorry to have to lead this way, but you have failed in the following ways. You voted to approve expanded campus student medical services to include unspecified lab tests, unspecified health screenings, and unspecified immunization to be given to minors from mobile vans, all without requiring parental consent or knowledge. You disseminated false information about the security of teachers' credentialing. For example, when I asked Diane, what policy or law existing today is there to remove a teacher's credentials by failing to enforce masks? All you could tell me is that, quote unquote, the teachers union headquarters had said so. The truth is, it's the district who brings complaints against a teacher to the credentialing board. You are the real threat to the teacher's credentials. Other school boards have voted for mass choice without loss of their insurance policies, yet you've refused to call to a preemptive mass choice vote. Nearly every major study has shown they're an educational impairment, and they don't stand on scientific evidence either. Therefore, you have harmed students, especially our special education students, speech therapy students, low socioeconomic students, and especially English as a second language students. To continue to do so another minute is therefore discriminatory. Your alternative to a vote for mass choice has been to segregate students who would not comply with you into other areas of school where they are not provided the same learning opportunities by credentialed teachers at all times as other students. Now, I know that what you might be thinking, isn't the mask mandate supposed to be up next week? Now, here's the truth. Masks are not actually our biggest issues. They are not our biggest fights to come. The California Healthy Youth Act, for example, the curriculum is so egregious, it should constitute porn. Or how about the mandatory vaccination legislation that's due to be coming our way in just a few weeks? Your actions have proven if we cannot depend on you for smaller fights like masks, we can't depend on you for bigger fights like forced medical procedures and porn in our schools. Therefore, you have to go. And my teammate Jason and my teammate Kara are going to tell you all about that. And I encourage each one of the parents, fill out, go to the yellow sheet that we have there, do the QR code, and let's see about it. Thank
And then Jason T.
I would first like to ask a procedural question. I sent an email to this effect last week, and like all the emails, they haven't been responded to in the last week by this board. Why is it that you're recording the Zoom, but you don't allow playback afterwards for the public, number one? Number two, why are you the only local school board that does not have any cameras on public comment so that people in the public can see who has come up to speak for them and on their behalf? Again, this goes to the least transparent board in all of Placer County. I have been here for 3 years, begging, pleading, almost crying, asking you guys to keep doing the right thing, whether it was the social studies curriculum, whether it's coming down the pipe, the pornographic California Healthy Youth Act, whether it's what's in the medical vans, what lab tests are you going to allow for kids to get, what immunizations are you going to allow, what screenings are you going to allow without parental consent. You're going to get parents' insurance information to charge for these medical school site labs. You never have answers, and matter of fact, we were told they're intentionally vague. Scott, you said that. We've asked you to be a brave board. Jeff, you've said that all the other boards are cowardly boards, and you guys are the brave ones, but we don't see it that way. You're the worst. And we all know that the insurance of the other districts didn't get pulled, but we can ask Brad Tucker about it because he's on the executive committee of the school insurance group, so he can probably pull us in on that too, but you guys aren't transparent, so you don't do it. So at the end of the day, we are done with a district that are sheep. Yep. We need lions. Yep. We are no longer going to allow sheep to lead us and lead our children down a path that we do not agree with. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones that represent our kids, and we will make sure that they're represented in a better way moving forward.
Happy Face.
All right, so the Arsenal of Democracy was a speech given by FDR December 29, 1940. This marked the entry of the United States in World War II and the importance of the democracy being the American people, not the American government, that would turn the tide of the war. And today is the start of a new arsenal of democracy, as it will now be the parents of Dry Creek, not the board, who have officially entered into a war against the attempted decimation of our children by the public education system. As we have made clear, you failed the students of the district. You violated your oaths while performing a myriad of civil rights violations that all damage the well-being of the children in this district. You don't even know it, but in doing these things, our children you have been cemented the end of your tenure on this board and will forever have tarnished whatever legacy in this community you may have had.
Damn right.
Now it's time for us, the parents of the district, to stop these abusive actions and to make sure nothing like this can happen again in our community. We will do everything in our power to inform the other parents of your legal actions, assure we have candidates that actually care about these children come November's election. Yep. In the meantime, we'll expand on every option to speed up your imminent removal from the district, including assisting various litigious bodies of your detailed violations. To all the parents in the room, don't forget the names and faces, spread the information, and ensure they don't do any more damage to the children of this district. Do not let off once the mask mandate is lifted. We know this is the beginning of a much bigger war against our children, and a war that us parents have officially entered into.
to Diane, Tracy, and Bill, who's running for re-election. Well, I'll start this way. 1 mask, 2 masks, all masks off. We do not like them, and we scoff. No mandates here, no mandates there, no union stronghold anywhere. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip them over and vote them out. The itsy bitsy school board climbed up the water spout. Down came the votes and washed 3 of them out. Out came the sun and dried up all the pain. Now the new board won't be itsy, it will be great once again. I need audience participation. Just clap, you know the song. If you're happy to replace them, clap your hands. If you're happy to replace them, clap your hands. If you're happy to unseat them, cause you know we're gonna beat them. If you're happy to replace them, clap your hands. You know, I saw this on Facebook and I thought it was the greatest thing I had seen in a long time. We are raising dragon slayers because there are so many dragons. Children should not have to fight for their rights. They shouldn't have to go to school and be ostracized and segregated and bullied. It just shouldn't be that way. I went to public school, we prayed, we learned history without it being revised. So I'm just asking, you guys have a conscience, and you have to stand up and do the right thing. Well,
I didn't say a good conscience.
The podium is yours, and next is Heather.
All right, so mine is a little bit different than what you've been hearing. I wanted to thank the board for upholding the state mask mandate through the 11th. And the reason that I'm doing this is regardless how you feel about masks, I think there's a different issue here. By following the mandate, we are teaching the students at Dry Creek that it's okay to question the rules. It's okay to stand up and try to get rules to be changed. But if there's a rule in place, that they still need to follow that rule. I fear that the surrounding districts are setting a poor example for the youth that they do not need to follow the rules that they don't like. So fighting to get the rules changed properly, yes, I'm all for that. I want my students to have a voice and to stand up for what they believe in. We practice that in the classroom all the time. But deciding to disregard the rules that you don't like, that's not a positive precedent that I think we should set. So what's next? Students don't like the bell schedule, so they show up whenever they want.
Oh my God, are you serious? There's a war in Russia because people. Oh my God.
You need to be respectful.
Kids don't like their parents' rules, so they're just going to pick and choose the ones that they follow. So to me, that's the biggest issue right now, is that by following the mandate, we are teaching the students, yes, question rules.
Stand up for themselves.
Yes, question rules. Yes, stand up and fight, but get the rules changed properly and don't just decide.
That's what we're doing.
Our kids are trying until they are changed. So thank you, board.
It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years. Did the board ask you to come?
No. I wrote the teacher's union did.
It's been 2 years.
Heather, you can come to the podium now, please.
We went from 2 weeks to curb
Jenny
the
is on
spread to 2 years.
No,
Not freedom.
Hello, board. You know me, I've been here since 2019, speaking and advocating for my children. I've been to meetings where parents are being removed from committees, where our concerns are disregarded, where a board member reprimanded parents at a board meeting and said, this is not an HOA meeting. I have tried meeting with board members in person, but was only ever able to meet with one. I have been disrespected in email just flat out not responded to. The California School Board Association says that the role of a school board is to ensure that school districts are responsive to the values, beliefs, and priorities of their communities. This is not happening in Dry Creek and has not been happening for a long time. Rockland School Board was also not responsive to the values of their community, and 3 board members were replaced. In stark contrast, last night I watched the new Rockland board pour their hearts out to their community and try to do what's best for their students. I heard the Rockland board tell the community, please email us, call us, let's meet and talk. But we don't get that here at Dry Creek. If we want change in this board, we need to follow suit, and we need to replace the 3 board members up for election this year. If you want to be involved in that, please scan the QR code on this page and come see me or any of the people raising their hands. Thank you.
After Jenny, we have Adam Roberts.
Good evening. First, I want to say thank you for getting our kids back into school before others. It was far too little and far too late, but thank you for doing at least that. Thank you. I have been with some of these other people. We're all friends now because we keep coming and keep asking for things to be changed and not approved for our kids. I was here when they were putting the very progressive social studies agenda in, and we all stood up here, we told you all sorts of things, and then we watched. Everybody, go ahead, pass it, it's great. Where they are pushing things like lesbians on second graders. What do you think little second graders are gonna do? I like girls, I must be a lesbian. Anyway, so that was back then. Then we came in with the sex ed, and we asked for it not to be passed. We asked for you to get a better, different curriculum. And they just all threw their hands up and said, sorry, we don't have one. There's not one out there. Sorry. Now we're back for mass choice. So we know that it's not gonna happen. Diane won't put it on the ballot, put it on up for a vote, so it can't happen. So there may be some people up here who would
Take a vote.
right? But they won't, so, we do wanna do the voting them out, right? But I was really interesting, last time I was here, I stayed until the very end, and I videoed what everybody was saying, and that was when Jeff called the other boards cowardly, because they gave in to their constituents. Do you know what that's like? That's actually hearing and then representing. So that's like hearkening. So anyway, I just want to say that it has really detrimentally affected these kids, and I know that now the teachers are pushing it against the kids too, and I know some kids that are stuck out, and they are being shown how to bully by the teachers. Yep. They are being shown how to bully, and it is like really shoving kids the wrong way. I don't appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hello, Warren. Adam Roberts. As a parent, taxpayer, and a former turned-out president of the PTA at Cloudy Ridge, I want you to know that I disapprove of each and every one of you, and I'm thoroughly disgusted by you. We have a physically compromised and mentally impaired president of the United States who gave a State of the Union address the other night with no masks in sight, yet our children are still being forced to mask by you.
Shame on you.
None of our children have died from COVID, and there's no evidence that masks work in any significant way. I want every taxpayer who's listening to me to remember these names: Diane Howe, Bill Schwetz, Scott Otsuka, Tracy Pittman, and definitely Jeff Randall. Remember these names when you vote. Get these child abusers out of our system and away from our children.
Yes.
Andrew Tavelli, and then Shauna Aguilar.
For the past week, I've had to sit in a room and not interact with anyone else because I don't want to wear a mask. I don't feel like that's right. So I need you guys to change that. And I am not willing to sit there and
first grade girl. And about a month ago, I would say that metaphorically, I was kind of where you're sitting right now. I was waiting on others to end what I felt was wrong. I was waiting on you. I was waiting on these parents. I was waiting on the government. That's really hard to say, that I let someone else fight. I'm not up here on my high horse tonight. I'm here real, saying that I'm human. I've compromised. I've stood in the shadows. I've been between a rock and a hard place. Last meeting here was my first, and it gave me a voice. It gave my children a voice, and it started dialogue between us. See, my children don't come home and complain about masks every day. They still sort of hold the belief that I know what their day is like. They'll talk about somebody, oh, you know so-and-so. No, I don't, baby. I'm not at school with you. You have a life that I'm not aware of. I've seen a change in my joyful, optimistic daughter who used to compliment at least one stranger a day. She's become sad. She apologizes all the time, inappropriately, when there's nothing for her to be sorry for. After the last meeting, she changed. She's been a little happier. She talks about masks every day, and she prays for you guys every night. She calls you the judges. Past Monday was No Mask Monday, and I had high hopes. My son that morning happened to not be feeling well, and because I'm a prudent parent, citizen, and nurse, I kept him home. My daughter went to school, my 6-year-old, and she chose no mask. She was sent to the principal's office, where she was given a choice to go back to class and mask up, or go to a conference room, do busy work, and be by herself with no teaching or instruction. I went and did my best. I went inside because I was waiting in case she did it. And I did my best to make sure that she understood that she wouldn't disappoint me, that she didn't have to fight alone, that I was proud of her. I did all but explicitly tell her to mask up and go to class because she shouldn't have to fight alone. She took off her mask and said, Mom, you can throw this away. I'll be in here the rest of the day. And I'll have you know she did it the next day too. I have high hopes for her ability to lead. She's more courageous than you guys, and I haven't been here for a long time, so I can still say that with all the love in my heart. My day was filled with guilt and uncertainty and disappointment. I've never been up here before, but I was also filled with pride and amazement because she's got grit. At the end of the day, I did find out that she wasn't alone. There were many others that went maskless. It just so happens that there are teachers. My son told me he has not worn a mask in 2 weeks. And he thinks his teacher doesn't notice. You're not alone. You're not different. It's never too late to make a right choice, to move your line in the sand. If a 6-year-old can, so can I, so can you. For all you know, one of you's on the verge. So who's going to tip the scale? Only the first step is the hardest. And by the way, Rosa Parks broke the rules. And Martin Luther King went to jail. Just because you break the rules doesn't mean you're not right.
Zoe, and I'm in 4th grade. I can't breathe, and I can't hear my teacher. Teacher can't hear me, and I can't hear my teacher. I can't hear my friends. My friends can't hear me. My friends can't breathe. My teacher can't breathe. Please take away the mask.
Stephanie,
You're my hero.
and then after Stephanie, the last speaker of the night would be Kimberly Steenblick.
To say that I'm disappointed is an understatement. I'm disappointed that the decision to vote on changing the mask enforcement policy was not possible because of one person on the board. What is the point of a board if things cannot be brought up for discussion because the majority doesn't agree? I'm disappointed because the board instead decided it was better to segregate our children and push them into independent study, despite our pleas illustrating the suffering, and learning loss. By her own free will, my daughter has been participating in the segregation room. And on most days, she's done with her schoolwork by 10:15, which includes first recess. So tell me how this is nurturing her learning. And if any of you happened to tune in to Dr. Galley last week, the only reason he was waiting for 2 weeks is to let the COVID numbers drop a little bit more. Well, Dry Creek had 0.25% last week. 1 at Quail Glen, 13 in the whole district. How are we going to get lower than that? I'm also disappointed in the lack of transparency and communication from the board, both during and after these meetings. There's no discussion or collaboration, and things are passed when not all board members even know what they're voting on, like the mobile health clinics.
What ban?
What ban? Approved. Emailed replies have gone from one sentence canned responses to absolutely no reply at all. I'm disappointed that I can't count on the school board to put our children's best interests first. It's time for a change, and we are all here to make it happen. And because I know masks aren't our only fight, I know the vaccines are coming up, I printed for you, give me 10 seconds, Diane, some statistics on kids 5 to 11. The efficacy drops 12% after 2 weeks.
The Pfizer vaccine.
And then this booklet is the Pfizer document. And the appendix has 8.5 pages, not bulletized, they're commas.
Thousands of times.
Yes. 8.5 pages of adverse events. So, before you guys decide to take blood money for the vaccines, maybe you guys can take this into consideration.
Great. I am also fairly new to this game. This is only my third board meeting in the 7 years that I've been part of this school district. And for that reason, I asked my board member friend in the Bay Area if her board members spoke to the audience during meetings, and she said, of course. Regarding COVID, she said she insists that the matter be put on the agenda so she can communicate with the audience regarding their concerns. If it's not on the agenda, she said, no board members can speak regarding that subject due to the Brown Act. When she said that, I realized that's what's happening with all of you. It feels as though you intentionally do not include anything COVID related in public discussion so you don't have to communicate with us on the subject. As already previously mentioned, you have now started ignoring our emails. We don't know if you're getting them, we don't know if you're reading them. There is no communication whatsoever between us and you. I reached out last Thursday, speaking of emails, expressing my concern about the horrendous plan put into place for children who choose not to wear masks in class. The Constitution requires that children are given a free and equal education. The education for those children who choose not to wear masks at school is not equal to the education students are receiving who stay in class. I overheard a middle school student say this week that he finishes his work at 10:30, same as Stephanie's daughter, and is on his phone the rest of the school day. These kids have gotten the short end of the stick for the last 2 years, and I believe this plan was put into place not to give students the freedom to choose, but rather so the district would still get funding because the kids were remaining in school. I am also disappointed and disgusted, and this should not have gone on this long. The students should not be treated this way, and I can't wait for November so we can start seeing some progress being made.
Thank you for scheduling this meeting. It is important that board elected to represent the students and serve the families in our district also take time to listen, not just hear the students. My name is Naomi Rocco. I'm a 6th grader at Ike Middle School. I believe in choice. If a person wants to wear a mask, they should. If a person does not want to wear a mask, they shouldn't be forced to. I have felt the effects of wearing a mask every day. Headaches, dizziness, I can't focus, and they're a distraction to my learning. And I can barely hear my teachers. In addition, I am discriminated against when I take my mask breaks. I urge you to follow the resolution approved in our high school district. My brother has a choice, why don't I? You may discard what you have listened to today. There will come a time where our voices will be too loud to ignore anymore. Mask choice for all ages. No strings attached, no testing, no shots. My name is Naomi Rocco, and I support mask choice. Thank you.
I am a parent of 3. I asked my kids today, when they decided that masks come off for the kids, do you want to have your mask off? My middle schooler kids said, not sure, Mom, I want to wait. I go, what does that mean? They're like, I don't know if I want to take it off or not. My 2nd grader says, I want to keep mine on. Now in 2nd grade settings, they're set up in groups, tables. They're not all facing forward like a classroom setting. And I asked her, I go, do you feel comfortable in a group setting if the kid across away from you has her mask off? She said, no, Mom.
Because you taught her that.
Because she knows that 2 masks work better than 1.
Learned that at school.
And she feels uncomfortable. So we got students
Stay home.
that want to wear their mask, and you got students that don't want to wear their mask when it comes up.
That's right, mask choice.
And it's not child abuse, because that's what my daughter wants. She can breathe.
Choice.
You're right, it is a choice.
I asked Latoya, she deserves her time too. You have
Got it.
I want to thank the board and the superintendent for having connections last year. You're right, they still do have it, but my kids want to social, and they can social during class. Anyhow, I just want to thank you for connections. It really worked for my kids. My kids still stayed on task. They're still on task at school with wearing masks, and they can hear their students, they can hear their teachers. But I would like to know, what are we gonna do with the students that still wanna wear their masks, but are in group settings across away from each other?
No one's gonna judge them for wearing their mask.
If your mask works, you'll be all right, right?
Yep. Wear 2 for me.
Hopefully you're not working in my kid's school.
Closing the public comment at this time. We're going to move on to the business portion of our meeting. Excuse me, we're in a business meeting now. 5 point on the consent agenda.
You guys are so brave.
Been moved by Tracy, second by Jeff, to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to action items, 6.01, 2021-22 second interim report.
Thank you.
Mr. Van Houten.